comments today? Okay. Presentation, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, Commissioners, staff, committee members. The first item on the agenda is presentation of RGV Bike Share Project and Tourism Project by the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development. This is an item, yes, Mr. Munoz, right? Mr. Cruz, I'm sorry, sir. This is an item that that we've been working on with the LRGVDC for quite some time. I think it's before the COVID, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's a project that is supposed to spearhead the bikes along the cities, different cities. But he's here to give us a presentation and to tell us about what the bikes are. I know that it's one of those that it's going to be hard to ride unless you actually pay for it. And it's going to be on a credit card and even nickels and quarters, something like that.
Credit card.
Okay.
MasterCard.
No CODs, just credit card.
Okay, sounds good. So, Mr. Cruz.
I do have some takeaways.
Yes, sir.
Handout.
We can hear you, but how you doing?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for allowing me to come before you to present on the RGV Bike Share program. My name is Manuel Cruz. I'm your executive director from the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council station out of Weslaco, Texas. And again, just the city manager mentioned we did have this particular grant about a year and a half ago, but due to the coronavirus was put on hold due to various other programs that the COG has. And so until most recently, a couple of months ago, when we initiated the process again, it started to go through our various projects, and one of them was the bike share program. And the handouts I provided you is a presentation that I have on this particular program. First page is the agenda, the overview, the benefits, the cost breakdown, and the potential locations. So if you choose to, approve and forego with this project. The next slide, the overview. You can see the history of the actual program. We ourselves are not going to take the ultimate credit for bringing this program to the valley. As you can see, it was the city of McAllen in 2015 that they implemented this particular project. Obviously, after that, due to RGV, and then over the years, it continued to flourish. And not until about 2019, more or less, that's when McAllen approached us to see if we could take it over to implement it across the region for those communities that wanted to, were interested in providing or having this program within their cities. As we, the Lower Rio Grande Valley Development Council or Council of Governments, always here for the community at large regional projects. That's what we're good at, trying to implement across the region for the community within the cities. So the next page will provide you with the funding and partnership. You can see that we just finished not too long ago. I want to say 2 months ago. We implemented a same project, but with funding that was acquired through the Valley Baptist Legacy Foundation. And so with that brought us to about $250,000 in funding. And so we were lucky to continue the one in McAllen, adding a few more sites there, and in Harlingen and in Brownsville. Currently, a total of 17 stations exist throughout the three-county area. And we have about 140 bicycles, or B-cycles. The other cities that we're approaching, engaging to see if they want to be part of this is the city of Alamo, city of FAR, city of Weslaco, city of Edinburgh, city of Mission, and of course the great city of San Juan. I'm here today to present this project. And so thus far, we do have commitments from Alamo, FAR, Weslaco, Edinburgh, and the only ones that are pending is Mission and San Juan. As you can see from the other slide, which shows the national map. It's a national program. It's throughout the United States. And so the great thing about this is that you can buy a membership here and be able to utilize it anywhere on the stations that you see throughout the great United States. And so, and the best part of it is that even though some of these cost more than what you would pay here, you would be able to use this membership across the United States by paying the minimal fee that you would in this area. And so typically the costs are very low here in the Valley compared to other cities. And you're talking about $60 for a year membership compared to Austin or Dallas when you pay over almost $100 for a year's membership. So you can, just so you can see the difference. And so the next page will provide you the benefits of this particular program. So again, our main goal is to implement regional projects for the region. And so this particular project is, it will improve the quality of life for the residents in your area, in your city. We're always looking to innovate and bring valuable, good programs for the community so they can, stay here. Last thing we want is for our citizens to be spending the money, upstate or in other states. So we want them to be here. And so public health and wellness, it keeps them active. They do have the most latest version of this bike would be the e-bike, which is a solar powered and no pedaling. But these are all pedal. You have to pedal, exercise. Public health and wellness. Affordable and convenient transportation. This particular project can be known as the last mile. And what I mean by that is, you have our taxis, you have our Valley Metro transportation, and our most recent Fast Ride, which call on demand. And so I guess the premise of this particular project is to be able to take a bicycle from one city to another city. Just another form of transportation for our citizens to venture and go throughout our Lower Rio Grande Valley. Complements Valley Metro, and this is tied into our Valley Metro system. If you ever seen our buses, they go up and down all through the valley. They do have bike racks, so you can load these bikes and transport them to and from any of the established facilities, like I mentioned, Brownsville, Harlingen, or McAllen, and soon to come the other 6 that I listed. Eliminates gaps and provides first and last mile support, which I already covered. Just another form of transportation for our community. Social equity, economic development, and environmental impact. Economic development is key because like I said, it keeps our residents here in the valley. They'll be able to spend more, have more activities. The more activities we provide them with, the better we are in the long run. The money stays here. The next slide is the quality of life is pretty much quality of life, equity, recreational options, livable city, public health, wellness, get active, and environmental impacts. Minimize, obviously, carbon emissions. Pretty much everybody has a vehicle nowadays. So with other forms of transportation, such as our Valley Metro or Fast Ride, and now our RGV B-Cycle, it eliminates the carbon footprint that we, on a day-to-day basis, put out in the atmosphere. Economic and community development stimulates commerce. The next slide is regional connection. Alternative multimodal transportation. Mobility, again, it provides another form of transportation for our community. Provides fast and last mile support from our bus stops to transit hubs, transit stations. Affordable and convenient public transportation, and complements the services from Valley Metro. For example, routes 30 and 31. The next page, you can see the actual details of the grant or the project. The Txtad award summary, and this is a reimbursable grant. And the only negative thing about this is that the money has to be paid up front. So we would have to have your commitment and your advance for the entire project. And at the end of the day, you would receive it's a match grant. 25, 75. And so 75 would be covered by the grant itself, and you would receive the 25% would be the match. So that's what your contribution would be for this particular project. And in the next slide, we'll provide you pretty much the total contributions for the city of San Juan, for example, or just for one station. The actual contribution for the city would be 49,726. The reimbursed once the project is implemented is $37,294 would be reimbursed back to the city. And excuse the last number there, it's off. It's supposed to be, that's what you would be, the net cost of the city. And so the next slide would provide you with the based on the number of stations used to sustain programs. So, initially, there is cost associated with it, and obviously this would be a funding or money generating project. But with the money that's collected, it would go back towards the program to help sustain the program, keep it going for maintenance, upkeep, and so forth. That's what the money would be used for. Not for the COG, for operations, stuff like that. It's for the actual continuation of the project. And so 100% of the membership fee would be used to sustain the project. There are reoccurring fees of $3,500 per year per station, but as we develop the cash flow from the membership fees, this total would eventually be reduced and maybe done away with, depending on the longevity of the program, how well it's sustained just by the generating revenue that it provides for the program or for the project. The next page will provide you the cost breakdown of for example, for one particular station. And I will let you know that I'll be upfront with you that a month ago the cost was less, but due to the current situation of our economy, how things costs have increased for materials and so forth, it was increased. I think it went from 37,000 to 49,000 for just the bike station with kiosks. And you can see the breakdown of all the costs that are associated with the project. And so that's what all the costs that you would contribute would go towards. And even the reoccurring cost, the $3,500 would go to initially help sustain the project. And like I mentioned, it would provide you the amount, the item, the cost, the local match associated with it, the federal or Txtad portion, whether it's reimbursed or not, and the ongoing annual expenses. It provides you with the actual line item that consists of a recurring charge. The next slide, potential locations. Again, this would be up to you all, the City Commission, to provide feedback, and you let us know where you would want these one or two sites if you decide to go forward with this project. You let us know, and we can accommodate that. So we only recommend based on the footprint of a current city, local government. Of course, we do take into consideration high traffic, because you put the station in high traffic areas, you're going to generate income, and so that's one of the key factors of selecting a site. And you can see the next slide will provide you site selection. Obviously, this must be a local government owned. It can be private, for profit, and usually, it provides you with some of the examples that you can use. Right away or even parks that belong to the city, those can be used for the implementation of this project. And so for the bike B-cycle, this concludes that presentation. And before I move on to the Hidalgo County Active Transportation and Tourism Plan, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Looking at I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the bicycle station with kiosks, is that including the bicycle itself also, or just the kiosk and the station?
This just includes the station and the kiosks. The bicycles we already have.
Okay,
We
gotcha.
have, I believe, we took over McAllen's inventory, and they have currently about 200 bikes. And so that cost is not factored in here, but it's not going to be factored because we already have the bicycles.
Question real quick. So when all is said and done, the environmental and then engineering, that comes separate. That's our cost.
Yes,
That's our cost?
yes. Actually, that's going to be.
Is that included?
You're going to be, that's part of the upfront cost
Okay.
that you would provide, because one of the things that we found rather strange, and
Engineering and design, right? All
yes,
that?
yes, and that's actually done by Txtad,
Okay.
and even the direct cost. So we were puzzled to the fact that they do charge for that, but because of the nature of the program, that's, that's correct.
Text dots.
Yes, they have a different mechanism or different
Okay.
costs that we traditionally don't see in other grants.
That's included in
Yes. Yes, sir.
49, right?
Yes. And of course, as it's going to be based on the number of cities that participate, but just for example, City of San Juan decides to select one site or one station, that's all you're going to pay for. It's not right for you to pay somebody else's, station or engineering cost. So
You did say that other cities, Bar and Alamo or our neighboring cities did commit.
yes, sir, I did. Alamo, FAR, Westlaco, and Edinburgh, I believe last week, recently, they went through the city commission, and their goal is to install four sites within Edinburgh. With potentially in the future, they want to implement more.
What does it cost to ride one of these?
The cost varies. It can be $1 for an hour, or up to $60 for a year's membership.
So after an hour, the bike
After
stalls?
60 minutes, regardless of whether you buy it or you rent it for an hour or a year's membership, every 60 minutes, it has to be redocked on the station, on the bike rack. And that's for safety purposes and because this is a national program, so they've already tweaked all the, issues that come with this, and 60 minutes was ideal to prevent theft of the bicycle. So that's why every 60 minutes you would have to dock it so that the system can track it, and if it's not docked, you're charged another fee. And eventually, if it's never docked, you're charged the total price of the bicycle, which is about $1,600. So there's
The bike locks or does stop operate?
currently we don't have they don't have GPS. They don't come with GPS. Obviously, that's an additional cost. No, we would lose the bike. But whoever charged or used the credit card, that's why we use credit card, right? And to be able to charge that credit card so we can recover those fees and replace that bike from the customer.
It's operable. After 60 minutes, still operable.
Yes, all you need to do every 60 minutes is dock it, and
Dock
you
it.
can reuse it. If it's a year membership, you can just do that and, continue on your merry way. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to jobs, do you have to dock it at the home site when you usually rent the bike?
No.
Or you dock it in-
And any of the sites that are implemented, yeah. You can start in Brazo, you want to come to McAllen, stop at every station, dock it, and you're good. And we tried, I know that's one of the factors, negative factors that city of encountered, but that's just how the system is to prevent theft. Because obviously this program has been in place for a while nationwide, and so that's one of the higher recommendations that they provide us with.
So what happens, say, that when you're coming in from someone who are about to leave the bike there, we're keeping the inventory in our own state, what happens to that?
Oh, we do have a coordinator for the region that on a day-to-day basis, he travels around to make sure that every station has the right number of bikes. And also recalibrates the system because to do updates, because it's connected to Wi-Fi, so updates need to be made. So he keeps track of that to make sure that all that is kept up to par, so that the system can function properly. And it's part of our Valley Metro system, so, transportation for that coordinator is provided. Those costs are covered, and so it's part of the program, and so he just goes from station to station to make sure everything's functioning correctly. About 37,000 for just the station and the kiosk, about a month ago. But because of the inflation in prices and cost material, it went up, slightly. Yeah. And who knows, prices might start going back down by the time we implement it. We're looking to implement this, we're looking to have this, actually accepting the grant proposal from Txtad in August on our board of directors meeting. And then from there, that point forward, provide a timeline. We're looking about a 7 to 9 month window for full implementation of, if we are able to secure the 6 sites, to implement 100%.
Any questions?
At the membership, but you also mentioned about the recurring $3,500 fee per station?
Yes.
That's on the city side?
Yes,
So
that's the only reoccurring fees, but then it's gonna be used to keep up and maintain the system. But in the long run, that fee might be eliminated depending on the revenue that the station or the overall project brings. We can adjust those figures. The more money we bring in, the more we deduct the less we deduct from your share of the 3,500. About seven to nine actual docking stations, and it depends on the bikes. Right now, we have enough to fill about four docking stations out of the 9, the 7th or 9th docking station, or slots. Okay. Any more?
Okay.
I do. Sure, and I do have the other, real quick, the Hidalgo County Active Transportation and Tourism Plan. And this one I'll go real quick. I know you're busy today. So the Hidalgo County Active Transportation and Tourism Plan supports the community and economic development. Again, improves overall community health, identifies opportunities for tourism investments, and enhances multimodal transportation options and connectivity, provides affordable transportation, supports organizational strategies and opportunities for development. And so the purpose is the next slide would be to implement activities identified in the plan to attract visitors to Hidalgo County or to the city of San Juan, for example. Provide opportunities for multimodal transportation investments and amenities. The next slide, impact of plan, perform health and wellness, seamless regional tourism, Caracara Trails Network in Cameron County, supporting a regional economy and environmental preservation and education. So this is, Cameron County is already pretty much has this plan in place. It's typically, like, I'm sure you're familiar with our RGV MPO, how they have more or less a plan in place that identifies all the thoroughfares, the roads and bridges at the $100,000 mile view. This plan would be much more focused on, for example, B-cycle, like that project, trails that you have within your parks or in your community. And so that, at the end of the day, would identify those resources and bring in other residents or other people from the northern Texas or northern states. And so if you look around the valley, we have a lot of birding sites. And so those, we don't know if they're identified here in Hidalgo County, but that's just an example of what this plan can provide. We would hire a consultant to try to identify all these resources so that it could make this valley, the city of San Juan, more viable for people to come down and spend their money here in the valley. So the vision of the Hidalgo County Active Plan, physical activity, tourism, economic development, unifying all trail networks in Hidalgo County, identifying new opportunities for growth, improving mobility for all residents and visitors, and dependent on partnerships and stakeholders. And the second slide will provide you with the active plan, Lower Grand Valley. This is the one for, I believe, for Cameron County. And when we have the active plan, you have the next slide will provide you Cameron County's map. Hidalgo County is not there yet. So by us venturing into this project, this is what the plan in essence would provide. All those details of all those trails, all those resources that Hidalgo County has, or potential infrastructure that they can use to build, for example, trails. So if you look at Cameron County, it's well outfitted, and they actually have a national designation because they have a trail. Caracaras Trails is a nationally known trail in the valley. So we have that going for us. And this would be just extension to Hidalgo County. You would see the same layout, the same map, the same resources identified in this plan that we're gonna try to implement for Hidalgo County. The next slide, another award for Txtad that we received from Txtad. And so the total award is 75%, is $267,000. Obviously, with the grant, it does come with a match 25%, and so that's $115,500 is a match. Engineering, direct costs again are included, and this particular, the 25% would be divided by population within Hidalgo County. And so the last slide that you have there, leveraging funds. So based on population, initial city investment would be $11,398.83. The Txtad reimbursement, what you would receive back, would be $6,411.84. So total city investment would only be $4,986.99. And so with these two projects, only thing that comes to mind is economies of scale. We at the COG try to do more with less. And as you can see, even if Hidalgo County alone, the county would try to implement this project, they themselves alone would be paying for this, compared to all the communities pitching in their fair share to be able to benefit from the resources. And you guys are the city, whether it's the city commissioners, city manager, or even mayor, would be involved in the process, as well as your parks and recs, or fire chief, police chief, can be part of the planning process. Take part, make this plan yours. And so this is the second project that I have here for you today. The last slide has the contact information. Ms. Sarah Derlund, she's my executive analyst who's spearheading these two projects, and my contact information is also there for, you're more than welcome to give me a call if you have any questions that come up after today. We'll be happy to answer those for you. And that concludes my presentations. Any questions? Okay, good. Well, I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully, you all decide to approve it. And if not, well, there's always next time, right?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you.
The next item, we have a presentation on departmental reports. Today we have Department of Planning and Zoning, pretty much every department, and everybody's here available should you have any questions for them.
Any questions, any concerns?
How are we doing? How are we doing with the flooded areas? What is going slowly at a time? Yeah, that's what Mr. Garcia said, they have to be used every.
That's real quick on the brush, like always. So as you understand, we've been having, as a city commission, we've been having meetings and got together and exploring different options. So help is coming on the way. For the time being, are we okay? We on schedule? Okay. And we understand how hard it is. We know that you all are out there working, and our employees are doing as fast as we can. So us as a commission are, committed to making a decision to go ahead and get more resources or whatever we may need to do to help with that problem. So. Okay.
And if we need some help somewhere down the line, an outsource so we can help us with you guys also in conjunction, so we can have this immediately taken care of before another storm gets here. God willing, we don't get a hurricane here coming in within hurricane season, So if we need help or anything like that, pitch it out to Mr. Juan, and he'll bring it out to the commission so we can put it in a meeting, whatever needs to be done so we can address those issues.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I know that the commissioners, we're looking at speaking with Mr. Garza. We talked about maybe possible hiring additional staffing for these particular purposes. But that's something that him and I are actually working on the numbers, whether we can afford them. Obviously, it has to come before you all for approval. But if it's like on an emergency basis, maybe we can do some temp services for maybe a couple of weeks. But if we can, I'd like to maybe look into the possibility of hiring full-time staff for his department. I know the new budget, the new fiscal year is right around the corner, but that's something that we need to look into, especially now that we're running into the hurricane season.
And if you go back to, and this is where I'm thinking right now, is that if we don't have to hire an outsource, paying our employees that overtime, that extra money, gives them extra money in the pocket at the same time. Some of these days are beautiful, from 7 to 7. Give them that extra hour too, to address the city overtime issues. I think it'd be perfect, At the same time, instead of paying out a service, we actually are paying our employee that's gonna make money for their families too. So look at those options also. I'd like to look at that.
If you can please get with Mr. Arjona as soon as possible, because we're ready to go, I think, as a commission, and pretty upbeat about getting it done. We need to just take care of it. He said the weather's not gonna help us any coming in the near future, so it's gonna make it harder. But we're ready to go, so let's explore all these options.
Yeah, and also, get together with Patrick Willingham, in case you need one or two guys that can help you cut around the corners or anything around the drains or stuff like that. I mean, he's willing to lend you one or two. I mean, anything helps. Talk to him and let's see how you guys can do that. But pretty much, I know it's hectic. We're getting a lot of water. That's, it's Mother Nature. There's nothing we can do about it. But we'll try to do as much as we can. Thank you, Rimbo.
Rain, are we, I know it rained today. We weren't expecting rain today, right? We weren't? And it rained automatically, so. Right. Good deal. Okay.
Southwest, over here, picking up brush and all that. Oh, the mosquito spray. Oh, yes. Yeah. Hey, Rimbo, once we're on it about mosquitoes, on Lucky Drive, west of Aldora, I think it is. There's a street that y'all did work on. Y'all put sewer lines in there on that street. There were some sewer lines there. Y'all put some there. It's in Lucky Drive.
Yeah, yes, sir. That was back in 2017. Mm-hmm.
It's real bad. I don't know. Maybe later on we can get some caliche or something like that and put it. Lucky Drive. Lucky Drive.
Is that the one that we visited, Mr. Garza? Yeah, it's just an unfortunate situation, and that part it is privately owned.
Oh, it's a private.
Yes.
That's what I need to know
So,
also. I didn't know about that street.
so Mr. Garza and myself went over, checked out the street. It is in real bad shape. So what we're gonna do is talk to the property owner, so maybe they can dedicate an easement. It'll be a
Well,
street easement.
there's an
right?
easement for the sewer.
Right.
And the roadway was put back to the same or better grade than it was the time that we did the installation. Fortunately, it is a caliche driveway. There's traffic that goes in and out every day during whether it's rainy or not. Our garbage trucks go in there as well because they came to an agreement that they were gonna put their trash cans there. So they do tear up the road. The other option is for them to haul the trash cans all the way to Aldora, which is not feasible because, but then it'll limit the heavy equipment going there. But they would have to, in order for the city to do anything, they would have to give up some kind of a right of way or access easement. Yeah. Yeah, no, the north section of Lucky is, but that south section, they called it Lucky, but it's a private access easement just for the lots there.
But that's something that we're working on, Mr. Rodriguez and myself. Now that we have Commissioner Cantu here, maybe once we get that, acquire the right of way, they can help us out and pave it, you know? Minnesota, that's coming. I know, he just said yes, he'll do it. That's all, sir, thank you. Yeah, but that's something that we're working on, really.
No, I mean, that just do it.
Yes, sir.
Who else?
Yes, this just goes to Patrick Willingham. Did we find coats for the rest of the baseball fields after all?
Did we find?
Remember that I went by and to see the, how much you guys were gonna find out how much you were gonna be renting the fields?
Yes, and we made adjustments to the ordinance, and it'll be on the next meeting, because we also had to adjust our registration fees as well, because everything's unfortunately going up, and we were kind of behind on registration fees. So it's all ready to go. I just received it back from Mr. Palacios' office, and it'll be on the next meeting.
Other teams, they wanna rent a park, so
Yes.
just for you to be on the west list on that. Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, he already went and came back. Yes.
And there were very few officers that were selected to go to the training, right? As far as from this area. 3 or 4 officers. So that's really, really good. Yeah. Congratulations, that was awesome. Very good.
Anyone else? Okay. If not, let's go to the, sure, you
Go to
good?
you.
Good? Go to the public hearing section, which is, item four, section 3. Go ahead, sir.
The first item is hold a public hearing for rezoning request from manufactured home district to single-family resident district of the property legally described as the north 0.34 acre tract of land out of north, 0.86 feet of the south, 6.92 of the east, 10 acres of the west, 31.46 of lots 1 and 2, Block 11, John Klossner subdivision located southwest corner of Orange Drive and Stewart Road is requested by Eden Trevino.
Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, this is a zone change from mobile home, manufactured home district to single-family residential district. This is located on the southwest corner of Orange Drive and Stewart Road. The is Eden Trevino. We did send letters to residents. We sent out letters to residents within 200-foot radius, and then we also sent a newspaper advertisement to the public. Currently in that area, it's for the most part single-family residential, so we wouldn't have an issue with someone changing it from the manufactured home to single-family residential district in that area.
Aye.
All opposed?
It's just a public hearing, yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I apologize. Let's go back to public hearing, so let's, open this hearing at 6:40. Is there anybody in favor or against? Anybody from the public?
Yeah, the Planning and Zoning Commission, they also approved it as well.
Hearing at 6:41. Any questions by the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
So move.
Second by Mr. Alejandro, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
The next item, Mayor Pro Tem, is hold a public hearing for rezoning request from single-family residence district to multifamily resident district of the 8.69 acre tract of land of Lot 12, Block 8, John Clausen subdivision located approximately 300 feet south of Nolana Avenue along the west side of Old Longoria Road as requested by OC Development Ltd.
So this also, that's a zone change from single-family residential district to multifamily residential district. A lot of, in that area is mixed use, there's commercial, there's single-family, there's also multifamily. There's some apartments existing on Ridge Road, south of this property, which is on Nolana and Raul Longoria. The applicant's OC Development, we did send letters, we also did send the newspaper advertisement as well. Surrounding properties, general business and multifamily, as well as single-family. So they're proposing a multifamily subdivision in that area.
This time will be open at the public hearing at 6:44. Motion been made by Mr. Villegas. Second by Ms. Santillan. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item C.
Hold the public hearing for a rezoning request from single-family resident district to neighborhood commercial district at the property located at 315 West First Street, legally described as Lot 3, Block 6, and Juan Original Townsite subdivision as requested by Maria Guadalupe Garcia.
So this is located on First Street between Oblate and Raul Longoria. The applicant is Ms. Garcia. We did send out letters within 200-foot radius. We also sent out the newspaper advertisement. For the most part, the properties are single-family residential in this area. There is one change on the corner, which is it's kind of like a child daycare. They zone on the north, right there where Oblate, on the north, I guess, west corner. Yeah. But for the most part, it's single.
And this would be facing which side?
It's gonna be facing First Street. It's on the south side of First Street.
The front of it would be facing north.
Yes. Yeah, and the reason the applicant, they wanted to do like a flower shop because of the Basilica, that was the reasoning that she wanted to apply for that. Yes. For the most part, it's single-family residential in that whole, pretty much on First Street.
That block is not, yeah, okay.
My concern would be.
There's a map,
traffic. Yeah.
there's also a map if you want to review it.
My concern would be the traffic.
Traffic and parking.
Especially school starting, and then you have that.
No
It's
idea.
right, it's idea, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic also.
We'll be open this, public hearing at 6:44. 6:44. To be correction, Mr. Juan, on the item B of 6:42. Yes, sir, actually, so 6:42. So that 6:40, what did I say, 6:44? 6:44. We'll be opening, item C. Anything from public, or against? Or against? Let me close that at 6:44. You have, any questions by the commission?
What I'm looking here, that rezoning was, was denied by the Planning and Zoning Commission, probably because of the traffic and all that. And remember, it's blocked, it's all residential only, right?
Right. I just have a big concern, as far as the traffic, the parking, and if you notice that the traffic is very highly congested when the school is open, and it's very hard to even go through there. It's actually a two-way lane, and there's no way we can actually have 3 cars coming back and forth and no shoulder. And besides, it's residential. So, I'm gonna go with the recommendation with the planning and zoning to deny. Second been made by Mr. Villegas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next one's ordinances.
We have considered ordinance in the first reading for the voluntary annexation petition of the proposed Valley Ranch subdivision phase 2, being a 9.76 acre tract of land out of lot 5, block 27, Alamo Land and Sugar Company subdivision, Hidalgo County, Texas, as per map recorded in volume 1, pages 24 through 26, map records as requested by OC Development Ltd.
So this is the first reading. It's for property located on Cesar Chavez and Hall Acres. It's 18.3 acres, and that's east of the drainage ditch that's there. In this ordinance, we have to provide an Exhibit A, which is the map, Exhibit B, which is a meets and bounds, so we know exactly what we annex into the city, and then also Exhibit B, which is a service plan that will list, the services that the city will provide to the property owners there. So we're going to go through 2 public hearings and then 2 ordinance readings as well. So this is the first one.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Guajardo, second by Mr. Villegas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item, consider an ordinance in the first reading approving a negotiated resolution between the City of San Juan and the Texas Gas Service, TGS, regarding the company's April 29, 2021 cost of service adjustment filing, declaring existing rates to be unreasonable. If you recall, this item was brought before, I want to say back in April, maybe March, and it was requesting for us to join the coalition, the city's coalition, to challenge the settlement that they actually imposed a fee. If you go to page 88 of your agenda, I'll just read a little bit on the background. What it says is, on April 29, 2021, Texas Gas Service Company filed for a rate increase pursuant to the cost of service adjustment tariff adopted by the Rio Grande Valley service area cities. TGS claimed an entitlement to rate relief under the tariff in the amount of $4,262,987 on a system-wide basis. Attorney Thomas Brocado and consultant Carl Nalepa, relied upon by the city coalition to review the TGS filing and negotiate a settlement, agreed to recommend a settlement of $3,842,357 on a system-wide basis. And this is for fees that are going to be tagged to the new or existing customers. It's not the cities doing it, it's the gas companies. It's just a formality that needs to come before the city to let the customers know about the rates going up. And it was already settled though, at the 3.8 million.
And that total doesn't apply to the city, it applies alleywide.
Right, it's not only for the village, right? It's all cities along the valley.
From Lyford to.
Right. It's just to approve. Yes, sir.
Aye.
Under discussion and possible action, we have considered a variance request to the City of San Juan standard specifications to allow open bottom fiberglass manholes at the proposed Valley Ranch number 2 and Meadows Unreached subdivision as requested by Quintanilla, Headley and Associates Incorporated. I have Mr. Salinas and Mr. Quintanilla.
Good evening. Mayor Pro Tem, Madam Commissioner, Commissioners, I'm Alfonso Quintanilla from Quintanilla, Headley and Associates, engineers from Edinburgh. I represent the developer. I don't know if Mr. Salinas is going to go first, or since I made the request, I go first.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Were recently approved by you all, and we are getting ready to start the construction. Just like many things, and I've been hearing, other items you have been looking at tonight, and I'm sure it's not news to you. In the residential and commercial development of subdividing properties, making subdivisions, we have encountered lack of materials as well. PVC pipes, on these fiberglass manholes, which I'm going to go in a detail. So we know that it has been challenging. Mr. Cantu is the developer. We were able to obtain the piping for the water and the sewer, which in one of the projects I think the city is going to participate to oversize the water line. But regarding these manholes, we understand the city requirement is a complete seal manhole, prefabricated as such. The thing is that in order for our contractor to order them is when we start the project, because we have to stake it on the ground, the location, the depth, and then generate a cut sheet that then is submitted to the local supplier, and then he submits it to the manufacturer upstate somewhere. And so the local supplier let us know, hey, this is taking a long time right now to manufacture for the same reasons, of the lack of materials to manufacture these manholes. So obviously that creates a delay of 3 or 4 months, by the time we order them to get here, which is a trickle effect, a domino effect, so to speak, because, we start laying lines, but then we have to cover them, water lines, drainage lines, so it's an issue for us, for Mr. Cantu. So just like anybody on anything, then we start looking for alternatives. And the alternative that I proposed to the city and to Mr. David Salinas is something that was being used before. It is still a one-piece manhole with the exception of the bottom, okay? On this manhole that we are proposing is to have a concrete foundation built in place once the manhole arrives, which is still a one piece except the bottom. And then is inserted into the foundation, which is reinforced concrete. We agreed on 4,000 PSI, and it's reinforced. 5,000? 5,000 PSI? This is news, but it's okay. We're gonna use 5,000 PSI, Mr. Cantu. But nevertheless, just in a very brief, when we connect to an existing sewer line, which is the case here, we have to use those anyway, because it's an existing line. We have to uncover the line and then prepare the foundation to insert this manhole into over the existing line, and then we cut the top of the existing line. So we use these manholes not just everywhere, you know, but in this case, I'm asking you to consider to go over this route because these are available and we can keep going. Obviously, everything is tested, is inspected, and is verified, and make sure that, you know, it's properly. The manhole is an approved ASTDM manhole, so that's our request.
Any question? By ordinance, I cannot recommend against ordinance. But he is correct. We have used these in the past. In fact, the last subdivision that we approved with open bottom manholes and concrete in place was one of Mr. Cantu's subdivision, which is Carroll Estates. So that is the last one that we approved. And he is correct on the timeline. I had to verify with all the vendors that we do business that it's a 10 to 12 week lead time on most of these manholes from the date it's ordered.
Stoppage of, you're trying to develop and we bid and then we already set back to the pandemic, so. I mean, that's basically what we're looking at, right?
The suggestion, if this is approved, is that they do go to a 5,000 PSI concrete. They at the bottom, normally our standard would be 4,000, but we have seen some issues with those concrete breaking. What we're trying to do with the sealed bottom manholes is to prevent infiltration. Just to give, at the bottom of the manholes, yeah. And just to give you an example, this last rainstorm, we had one subdivision where we had a spill of over 200,000 gallons of sewer from the inflow and infiltration from rainwater into the system. We're still trying to identify the entire area where how the water got in the system. We've identified 5 manholes that we've already taken care of that were accidentally hit by somebody cutting the right of way and cutting their property and moved them. Water unfortunately ponded around there and got in. We suspect we have other infiltration issues through the bottom, and that's why we've changed the standard to prevent that. We're not the only city in the valley that has this standard, and we're not the only city in the valley and they're not the only contractor in the valley that are having these problems. I totally believe that we are going to have more contractors that are going to come and ask for this variance, because we currently have, besides their 3 subdivisions that we're looking at, we have Hacienda San Fernando that has the same requirement, Sioux Coves that have the same requirements. They have not reached out yet. I don't know if they've had the issue yet or not, or if they have another supplier that we are not aware of. But those are the 2 that are already on the board have been released for construction. If installed correctly, they should have a longevity of 30 to 50 years without a problem, if installed correctly. The issue with us here is that we have a lot of expansive soils because of the clay, so it does adjust. So that is always been the issue. But a fiberglass manhole comes pre-installed from the factory with gasketed inserts. So it is completely sealed. That's the difference. Yes. And it'll be a concrete foundation. Actually, the manhole is laid, the concrete's poured around it. It has rebar, and then there's a coating that goes over that concrete. And that's one of the things that has to be maintained that is different from a fiberglass asphalt. Once you put it in place, you don't have to worry about that coating peeling off of the concrete. That will happen. The concrete goes in place and it does peel off.
And bottom line, so to say, quick fix, you don't want to stop any progress that we're doing right now.
Nope.
And I think that's a remedy for it. So
I don't know. Like I said, I can't recommend.
No.
for this, but, if this is something that you're all looking at, I suggest that we follow them.
The only thing on that, my concern is, we changing, to bottom or fiberglass, and then we're gonna go back to our standards of manhole and put some concrete. Let's say within the next 10 years, you know, you put one of the concrete on it, and it breaks. You know, nowadays, everything's getting break because of the roots or whatever. Who's responsible to pay for those?
The city is,
The city?
yes, after the warranty period is over.
What is, the year period that
It's a one-year warranty.
And that's everywhere, that's common, that's,
Yeah,
that's
in
Correct,
1 year?
that's the standard, yes.
the standard, I mean.
Have we have any subdivisions that have already put, the fiberglass?
No, Carroll's not, that was the last subdivision that we had with concrete.
Yeah,
Royal Ridge. Yeah, Royal Ridge. The manholes are fiberglass. The only thing that's different is that the bottom is fiberglass as well. All the other subdivisions that have been under construction for the last 6 years that I've been here have had concrete bottoms. Yes, concrete. Now, the standards changed and we've adopted them, and they were adopted by ordinance, so we're holding the developers to
The reason
the
I'm
standard.
asking, because I know, in a lot of, subdivisions, concrete has been broken from the bottom.
In some
And I'm
areas.
not saying it's 1 year, 2 years, could be 10, 15 years.
That's why we're making sure that it's better quality of,
That's why the suggestion I have is if you're gonna go to, our standard back then was 4,000.
Okay.
That's what it was. So
Okay.
we're suggesting to move.
Okay, so you think with the 5,000 PSI, it will be okay?
It'll be stronger, plus they're using the number 4 rebar, correct?
Yes.
And detail, number 4 rebar spaced out at 12 inches, right?
Yeah, 12 inches apart.
Yeah, 12 inches apart. So yeah, and as long as, the big thing that affects the concrete, I'm gonna tell you, is gases. The gases, the hydrogen sulfide gases come into contact with water, they turn into sulfuric acid. Concrete is made of lime, it's got lime in it, so the acid neutralizes the lime, and then it starts forming back to sand and to aggregate the way it is, that's what falls apart. So as long as the application of the coating that goes on the concrete is put on correctly, and maybe we'll require them to put an additional mill or an additional 10 mils
Yes.
of concrete on there to add more protection, that'd be a suggestion. Like I said,
Yes.
can't recommend against ordinance, not allowed to, but my suggestion is if they'll get approved, that we go to 5,000 PSI concrete and increase the mill coating.
Well, you think it's okay, because I know the recommendation here is a denial, but
Yeah.
with your recommendation, and now you're saying that if we go 5,000 PSI?
It'll
You
work.
think it'll be okay?
The other difference in the area where they're planting, the water table is pretty shallow. It's not very shallow, it's pretty deep, so the buoyancy forces that'll be affecting the manhole are a little bit different. So hopefully there won't be as much shifting, but again, have to reiterate, I can't recommend against ordinance. It's just a suggestion. It's totally up to you all.
Just to give you an example,
There was an adding of what you said, besides the 5,000 PSI?
Coating, a coating, a protective coating for the concrete.
Inside,
Normally-
over the concrete.
Yeah, normally we put that concrete, but if we're gonna go this rate against, I recommend that we have them increase the mill coating on that.
Okay, well, I mean, as long as that's taken care of, you all the professionals on that.
We are in agreement with
So, no big deal. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Motion to make by Mr. Villegas, second by Mr. Fajardo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
And just to add to that, I expect more subdivisions to come and ask for the same variance.
course.
So we may want to consider amending the ordinance to allow for some wiggle room that the city engineer, along with,
Not only that, I
with
know
plan-
that, fiberglass right now is back,
it is a PVC as well. I'm surprised they were able to find the piping so quickly, because we're having problems acquiring piping too. So,
thank you. The next item, consider approval of budget amendment to increase the utility billing collection division water meter line item in the amount of $25,000 for the fiscal year 2020, 2021. As we discussed in the previous meetings, the growth of the city has been phenomenal. And this is something that was not really forecasted as far as the growth last fiscal year. And this is due to that. Because of the growth, we're in the need of adding additional or buying some more water meters to our department, which we already did. Because, I mean, we just can't keep up with the rooftops that are coming in. So this is just a budget amendment for that particular purpose.
That's what I want to make.
Yes, sir.
We okay on that? We are? They're not a digit, no, are they? Don't go regular meetings. Regular meeting. No? He's okay, yeah. So move.
Motion made by Mr. Guajardo,
Second.
second by Ms. Santiago, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
The next item is discussion and possible action to extend the City of San Juan Municipal Court Amnesty Program from July 19 through August 19, 2021. Ms. Enriquez is here. Should you have any questions? However, if we extend this, it'll give the people an opportunity to come over and pay the citations, the tickets.
How are we doing every time we extend the time limit? We're doing okay, right? They give it,
But, on one of my reports, I have the breakdown of each of the months.
We do see a significant increase.
yeah, no, we do, we see it. But, you know, every time we extend it, we're getting more people to give them a chance to come and pay it up or whatever the fees are, right?
We want to extend it because we do have, people calling in that weren't able to take care of it during the months that we had it. And they do want to take care of it right now, so that's why we're requesting one more month, yes.
Do we still have a payment plan for that or no?
They have to pay the full amount of the violation,
go through
and
a payment
then we waive the warrant fee. Yes. Mhm.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Under resolutions, we have considered resolution authorizing the City of San Juan to submit and accept an application for funding to the Office of the Governor via Victim of Crime Act Formula Grant Program funds. Chief is here. Should you have any questions on that particular grant? Again, this is the, Chief, this is the grant for the Eclipse program. You want to talk about the Eclipse program?
Sure. Thank you, sir. So this resolution is in reference to a program that's out there for first responders. It's in reference to creating basically peer-to-peer team for helping deal with traumatic incidents in reference to law enforcement and the fire department also. This is to fund the training so we can have our own staff members to be able to help our own officers cope with critical incidents. That also, like I said, this is a first responder, so I'm also including the fire department. Part of that training I will be requesting Chief Gatsa to hopefully nominate a couple of his firefighters to be part of this team. And once we are established that, they can also help with victims in crimes, you know, to help out, since they're always the first responders there, and basically help them out and deal with stress. And it's like I said, it's peer-to-peer. It's a very good program. I'm familiar with it actually personally. From my old agency, we created those teams within my old department, and they come very handy for officers when we're responding to fatalities, high stress, mass shootings. These officers are trained to help our own people to be able to cope with those type of situations and help them and not try to avoid, you know, your typical now is PTSD, you know, but that's what this grant is about.
Nope. Don't move. Say.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried.
The next item, consider resolution authorizing the City of San Juan to submit and accept an application for funding to the Office of the Governor, DJ Edward Burney Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Program for the City of San Juan Equipment Project Program. Chief, there's a couple of, what do you call those, dispatch command centers?
Yes, sir.
Any questions that I
This
have,
also
Chief?
provides us hopefully and be able to create, we already have, of course, one operation. We have the systems there, but we don't have the actual, or should I say, we have the computers that's needed, but we also need the systems to be able to do multiple dispatches. This helps us in the long run, especially as we're trying to expand our police department right now to where we have multiple users or telecommunication officers to be able to be handling fire department in one channel, police department in another channel, and anything else from ambulance service and everything, and still be able to maintain radio communication with our other folks that are running regular traffic. And this is the whole system to expand, because right now we're working under one operation. But as you well know, the city's growing, we need more personnel, there's a lot of traffic, calls for service are increasing, and so we really need the communications to be able to provide that assistance to our officers out on the road.
To authorize for some grant funding, right, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
Is this like 100% or it's a match?
This one, sir, I believe it's 95,000, so it is 100% on this one, correct.
Motion been made by Mr. Villegas, second by Mr. Txtad. All in favor, say
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
The next item, consider resolution authorizing the city of San Juan to submit and accept an application for the 2021 Local Border Security Program application to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grants Division for the city of San Juan. Chief?
This grant is to expand current Border Star security, and it's basically dealing with what we've been going on, trying to meet our threat assessment in reference to the human trafficking, the drug trafficking, and also to help us assist in violent crimes to cover any overtime that comes from the results of that type of crime.
Sadly, that is something we have in our city that I know that you've come across with the smuggling and all that, so it's not, it's.
We do,
very
you know, the city of San Juan unfortunately has a main thorough that we know is Stewart Road. It goes all the way to Military Road, and that provides a lot of direct traffic northbound. And mind you, it's almost secluded in the sense that there's very few traffic. It's only going in and out, and that is normally the route that they take to go to stash houses and so forth. So we do have that high traffic. It's just a matter of our officers being in, as we've been doing, is a little bit more aggressive in our criminal interdiction, assisting other agencies coming into our city with joint operations. And so we've been doing a really, really good job with that type of enforcement. Yes.
Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
The next item, consider resolution of the city of San Juan to submit and accept an application for the funding to the Office of the Governor, Homeland Security Grant Division for the city of San Juan Law Enforcement Emergency Regional Response Team, better known as the ALERT 2022 project. Chief?
Yes, this grant is very useful for us, for our ALERT team. This is to fund and be able to purchase a robotic surveillance unit, a mobile unit, and also some drones. This drones actually come in real handy. What we're looking at is 2 drones, one as a standby, but it actually has a capability to where it can go up to the windows, break the windows, and proceed into it to where we don't jeopardize our staff, our personnel going in there, having to be forced to go in there. We can send those drones in there, and also has a capability of dropping any items from cell phones to be able to connect with this, the suspect, for example, in a hostage situation. We're able to do that. And of course, like I said, we'll have a second drone. They are pricey, and we've already got the quotes and so forth. So this grant will be able to assist us to purchase that and take that little bit of a burden from the city. It's equipment that we definitely need. And as we are continuing to grow and the threat continues to grow within the city and the community, it's tools that we're able to utilize to be able to provide better service to our community and minimize any injuries or serious bodily injury. And so these tools come very handy for us. Also, you know, the headsets that come into, they're a little bit high tech. It's for our personnel as they go in, they're able to communicate with each other and be able to know where they're at all times and have direct communication at all times to avoid any crossfire or any injuries that might occur when they don't have that type of communication and they're just going into a building per se, or a house, and we lose sight of those officers. At least they can have constant communication. So this grant will provide funds to be able to purchase some of those items. Yes, sir.
So if, like covered, we might have a match on that.
On this one, right now, we're showing that the grant will cover the items that we're requesting. Yes, sir, so we will not have to match any on this particular grant.
And I'm totally aware of the prices, you know, so, even if we go a little bit over, I'm pretty sure we could find the funding, it would be asked forfeiture or from the city coffers.
Absolutely, sir, in case that does happen, it'd be great if we do have the support to do that. But we're hoping that with the home grant, we won't have to put that burden again on the city, but if we do, we should be able to find the monies to be able to assist us in that.
All opposed, motion carries.
The next item on the consent agenda, we have item A, B, C, D, and E and F. We can vote them all together, or should you like to make any questions on any of these, we can always pull them out.
Can we do it all together?
Yes, sir.
Items A, B, C, D, E, and F. Motion made by Mr. Villegas, second. Second by Mr. Guajardo, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. The last item is, do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Motion been made by Mr. Villegas, second by Mr. Guajardo. Aye. All opposed, motion carried. We adjourn at 7:12.